Jeffrey Epstein's Central Ohio connection and the ticket tax may head to the ballot. Joining us on Columbus on the Record this week, Laura Bischoff, State House correspondent for the Dayton Daily News. Andy Chow, State House correspondent for Ohio Public Radio. Terry Casey, Republican strategist, and Derek Clay, Democratic strategist. Jeffrey Epstein knew a lot of rich and powerful people. Those people are having to answer questions about their relationship now that Epstein faces federal sex trafficking charges and also charges he sexually abused dozens of underage girls. Epstein socialized with former President Clinton, current President Trump. At one time, he was very close with Les Wexner. For years, Epstein was the Limited Brands founder's financial advisor. Wexner once owned the Manhattan townhouse the FBI raided this week and reportedly found sexual images of young girls. The Columbus Dispatch reports that about the time Epstein was negotiating a plea deal in the early 2000s, he gave $47 million to a newly formed charitable foundation run by Wexner's wife, Abigail. We should say that Wexner, of course, is a big contributor to Ohio State University, and specifically, L Brands financially supports WOSU. Laura Bischoff, what is Les Wexner saying about this case and the latest developments?
Not much. The Wexner said through a spokesperson that that relationship ended more than a decade ago and has not responded to other questions from the Columbus Dispatch, and also just a bunch of national outlets have been asking questions about this. Like you said, I think that Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of connections with powerful people, and now that Epstein is back in the news, there are efforts to kind of see what those connections were and how deep they went.
And part of the difficulty is the 2003 Vanity Fair magazine piece quoted Columbus's Les Wexner very extensively, praising, and the New York Times made the point of calling Wexner a mentor of Epstein. And people forget that Epstein actually lived and worked for a decent number of years right here in Columbus when he was doing some of that financial work. So there's clearly some questions, and I'm kind of surprised that the Dispatch, to their credit, did do some reporting on these questions and the ties to Columbus.
It's the foundation relationship with Epstein that is really that's what the Dispatch focused on. It was started right around the time he was being investigated, after being indicted by the federal prosecutors for sex trafficking and underage possible abuse. Gave $47 million. It was there for 3 years. The Wexners transferred it to other trusts. It's just the timing is odd and it raises questions.
It shows that yes, he faced indictment in September of 2007 on federal charges, and then shortly after that, that's when some of the Wexners began to pull away from him. But before that happened, Epstein owned land and a house in New Albany, and he sold it to the Wexners for $0 or $1 or something like that. That's according to the Columbus Dispatch. That was in December of 2007, just a couple months after the indictment. And then that donation, that $47 million, went into Abigail Wexner's charity in January of 2008. It
was a short-lived charity. It was there for 3 years, and apparently, according to the Dispatch and tax records, it was the only donation they received.
And then by February, Les Wexner replaced Epstein with a new business manager.
So could this just be, he didn't know what Epstein's secret life was. All this stuff came out in 2007, and we're going to cut ties and not deal with him anymore.
First off, because the story broke and there was a relationship at one point in time, the media is trying to make connections, but we just got to make sure that we're very careful not to speculate and keep the focus on the real issue at hand, that Epstein is being charged with these horrific crimes. The ties with the foundation, that was over a decade ago. Apparently, they've severed ties with Mr. Epstein. Yeah. So we'll just have to see where this goes. But at this point.
But one of the biggest questions about Epstein is, how did he make all this money? How did he get connected with these people? Because he clearly was very well connected, whether it's a prince in the Queen's family in England, obviously a lot of people in New York. And I mean, that townhouse in New York City that he got through Wexner,
huge.
It was like considered the biggest ever done and had huge amounts of investments in it. So there's questions, and the media attention is not going to go away.
This is part of the whole, it's different now because of Me Too, Andy. It's like when someone is charged with, somebody of high profile who is charged with a sexual abuse, whether it's harassment or actual abuse, physical abuse, you start looking at connections. Who knew what, when? And this is what's happening here.
Yeah, and so for one thing, and I think Derek just mentioned this, is that right now the reporting's been on the money and the business relationship. But I think whenever you have these high-profile cases come out, people are drilling down into the different relationships to see, was this person enabled in some way? Did somebody see something and not say something when they should have? So those are questions that might be out there right now. But again, it's all really up in the air. It does make, you know, especially with the Me Too movement, it has everybody asking about the company you keep. Like Laura pointed out, when the indictment started coming down, they did start to sever ties, but there were transactions along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's still newsworthy, even though that relationship was more than a decade old, because as you said from the get-go, Les Wexner is, he's on the Forbes list as the richest guy in Ohio. And he and Abigail Wexner have served collectively more than 2 decades on the Ohio State Board of Trustees, and they've raised or pledged more than $200 million to the university. So they are major figures, prominent figures in the Columbus area.
And Abigail's been such an advocate against violence for families or against women, so that's part of what makes the questions come up even higher.
I mean, they haven't said very much, the Wexners. This story is only a week old.
Right, only through a spokesperson.
Should they come out and just do an interview and say, here's what it is, lay all their cards on the table, you know, whether with a local person or a national person? I mean, it's so hard.
From a PR management standpoint, sometimes it's best the less you say, because as happened with the labor secretary, sometimes you go explaining and all it does is start raising even more questions.
All right. Closer to the State House, the Ohio House and Senate have yet to agree on a deal to pass the nearly $69 billion 2-year state budget. Conference committee negotiators have been meeting all week. Still, no deal as of Friday afternoon when we record this. It's not Republicans against Democrats holding up this process. It is Senate Republicans against House Republicans. Governor DeWine seems to be getting frustrated, saying it's time to get a budget. To use the World Cup metaphor, it's actually extra time, and that period runs out Wednesday when the temporary budget expires. Laura Bischoff, there was a meeting this afternoon. They're still working at it. What's holding it up?
Well, I think, you know, they start out with like more than 500 points of contention. A lot of them are smaller, and I'm sure they've knocked those out. But there's some big ones on like how the state Medicaid program should deal with pharmacy benefit managers. Another giant one is this tax break that sole proprietorships, LLCs, and partnerships have where they don't pay any state taxes on the first $250,000 in revenue. The Senate and DeWine want to keep it at $250, and the House wants to reduce it to $100. There's other issues that are kind of flying below the radar. I wrote about an issue involving Eastern Gateway Community College over in Steubenville, and they're using the state share of instruction to pay for 14,000 online students from all 50 states and U.S. territories in the Pacific. And DeWine and the Senate want to close that loophole so that that's not happening, and the House wants to keep it in. So I think that's another issue.
And don't forget House Bill 6, because that issue is major, because in a way, both of the Larrys, one the president, one the speaker, and the governor all support not closing up the nuclear plants on Lake Erie, but then there's serious questions about the other subsidies, directly or indirectly, that go to solar, wind, and other kind of things. So that House Bill 6, or the Senate's variation of it, is a key part of where the disagreement is.
Derek, you represent folks who stand to benefit from these subsidies, an energy utility, retail company. But should House Bill 6 be a part of the budget negotiations? It's a different bill, the energy bill.
It is a different bill because, you know, right now you're looking at a hodgepodge of different issues that are in the state budget. And House Bill 6, although it's very cumbersome and it's been taking a lot of a lot of time to debate, you know, I don't think neither the House or the Senate would like to see this in the budget, just because it's too cumbersome. There's too many people at odds. I mean, you got the nuke plants that are being talked about being bailed out. You got the retail energy market that's saying, look, leave our industry alone. So it's a lot of different moving parts.
I think it's definitely possible that the energy bill is some type of bargaining chip or a negotiation leverage here. But when we talked to the House Speaker and the Senate President after they failed to make the deadline the last time around, they said, no, that wasn't really a part of it. But of course, it could be this looming issue. But what we do have here, we have a temporary budget that's extended to July 17th. So this coming Wednesday, another deal needs to be made, either a full-time deal or another temporary deal. But we've got these buckets of money where we see a lot of spending, we see a lot of income tax cuts, and it just seems like nobody can find an agreement of where to level all that out.
But this is what I don't understand though. We got a Republican governor, we got a Republican Senate, we got a Republican House, and we still don't have a budget.
So that's my...
Well, Derek, normally you'd be complaining if they all agreed too much and it went through too quickly.
Well, here's my question. Is this a difference in philosophy between Larry Householder, the Speaker, and Larry Obhoff, the Senate President, or is it a difference in personality between Larry Householder and Larry Obhoff?
And yes, because the two Larrys are very different styles and approaches of people, and also fundamentally the House and the Senate are very different in how they look at and approach certain of the issues, and each one feels they're smarter than the others. So there's a lot of stylistic differences, but the good news for Ohio, they've got the money. The snow is not being left on the roads right now. Nobody's laid off from work. The parks aren't closed. So the good news is things are functioning okay.
But we did just talk to Governor Mike DeWine, and he says, listen, we had all sorts of programs, all sorts of projects that we were ready to go into play to help clean up Lake Erie, to help Children's Services, and those have been delayed right now.
You know, the other thing is like they were going to tweak the graduation requirements again, and they had that teed up and ready. It's been inserted into the Senate version of the bill. Now there's some discussion about do we pull that out or do we put it in? But that's another example of if they don't decide this soon, then another school year is going to roll by where they won't make those reforms.
So it does affect us, the Senate, the state budget.
But they'll get it done soon.
Way.
It's just the definition of what soon means.
Well, when?
Soon-ish.
When?
Yeah, soon-ish.
Well, how many years did the federal government go without a budget? They just continuing resolutions one after the other anyway. Even though there are no competitive races for city council or mayor this year, Columbus voters likely will have some things to decide this fall. For one, it looks like they will get to weigh in on the ticket taxes that went into effect this month. The 5% taxes on major entertainment events in Columbus helps fund arts organizations in Central Ohio, as well as pay for maintenance to Nationwide Arena, which we own as taxpayers. Opponents to the taxes submitted twice the number of signatures they will need to qualify for the ballot. They say the levies will hurt the city's entertainment business. Supporters say it's needed to maintain a vibrant arts scene in the area. Terry Casey, Columbus voters over the past couple of times that I can remember, they said no to a car rental tax when given a chance to vote on it. They said yes to a big increase in the income tax. So this is the tiebreaker. Would Columbus's voters say yes or no to this tax?
Well, they've also said, I think 4 or 5 times no to money for stadiums and arena building, or I'm sure if they voted, they'd bail that out. But this is an interesting issue. And by the way, on city council this fall, there will be 8 candidates running. They're all from the Democrat Party. 4 are the incumbents, 4 are some outsiders. So there will be city council races. But this issue, one of the wrinkles is if you want to vote for the ticket tax, you actually have to vote no because it's a charter amendment change. So the people who oppose the tax have to get people to vote yes. So
which is harder to do.
It's a little more complicated, be it on the yes side, and probably the people who are pro-ticket tax will raise and spend more than $1 million. So there'll be a lot of money, and one of the questions is who's going to turn out this fall?
Oddly enough, the folks who are opposed to the ticket tax, which funds the arts, their acronym is ART. So you could say vote for art, vote yes, right?
Irony alert.
Yeah, well, that goes to your strategy. Vote for art, vote yes, because that'd be anti-tax.
Yeah, when anybody gets confused about anything, I think they tend to vote no. So that might be another
strategy.
Yeah.
So we get back to the merits of this tax again. Is it worth it? It's been in place now since July 1st. We really haven't seen any.
Well, but the other little wrinkle that came out before July 1st, we found the Blue Jackets and the Clippers telling people sign up not just for 1 year, but multiple years. And if you sign a piece of paper saying you want to renew for so long, then you won't have to pay the ticket tax. So there are some questions of how it's being collected. And even within the contract on the new Crew Stadium, there's a question, is there a clause that exempts them from being subject to the ticket tax?
We've checked on that, and they say it does not exempt them from the ticket tax. It would exempt them from future taxes. But
there's some debate and question of what will happen.
Yeah, you know, many people in the community felt like this tax was imposed on them by the arts community to begin with, and then you know the Clippers and the Blue Jackets were opposed to this when it came out. So you know, even with the art group that has the signatures, enough signatures to get this on the ballot, I still think that they're going to have an uphill battle.
Again, the art group is the opponent to the ticket tax.
Yes, because you know now you're messing with the Columbus Charter. You're going to have every business, you're going to have every organization and good government group out there saying that this is not a good idea.
So, will the opponents say this is an unfair tax? Opponents to the ticket tax, will they say this is an unfair tax, a burden on working families trying to take their families to concerts and plays around town, or will they say this is a bailout of Nationwide Arena? Which would be more effective?
Well, that's one of the questions. I know that the group who are for this ticket tax have already done some extensive polling, so they've tested the messages. I don't know whether the people opposed to the ticket tax, they'll have to test that and find out, because again, looking at this fall, the turnout is liable to be pretty small, and it's going to be a narrow group of voters, so you better have your message right and very carefully targeted. And get straight that a yes means a no and a no means a yes.
The Blue Jackets are pretty popular. They get off to a good start. It could
well,
help,
but
right?
they didn't sign up many of their star players, so there's questions of.
That's why they need the money.
Yeah.
You could also argue this is an optional tax. If you don't want to pay it, don't go to a concert or a sporting event.
It's a user fee, basically.
Or if you go to a movie at Lenox, which is in Clinton Township, not in Columbus, then you don't pay the ticket tax. But if you go out to Easton, the AMC there, then you'll be subject to the ticket tax if it's $10 or more.
So there you go.
Yes.
All right. There could be a second question on the city ballot this fall, and this one came out of nowhere. It would require the city to spend $42 million to provide clean energy subsidies to Columbus residents. The goal is to provide incentives to customers to switch to solar and wind energy providers. City Hall is not too excited about the move. The amount would represent about 6% of the city budget. City officials worry they would not have a say in how the tax money is spent. Derek, this is very odd. I've never heard of a group saying, vote for this, and then the City Hall has to spend this money on this project.
Yeah, it is odd.
It's not new money. It's
kind of almost like legalizing a casino on your property, right?
Can I reclaim my time, Terry? Thank you very much. So you know, it is very odd because it is going to divert city operating dollars to this clean energy fund that essentially would allow for residents to get subsidies to switch to green products. Now, the problem that you know City Hall and primarily the mayor's office has with it is that it has no public oversight. You know, the organization that's going to manage these subsidies would be from an outside group.
The bank in New York, or the Green Bank in New York.
The Green Bank in New York. Yeah. And we're talking about massive amounts of money here. I mean, this would be more than the Department of Public Utilities, the Recreation and Parks, and Public Service combined. So we're talking about major dollars that would be diverted to this fund.
And $47 million is a big chunk out of the city budget, and legitimately they can say this could take money away from police and fire. But I think part of what's going to happen is the people in the city attorney's office are going to be fly-specking what they've submitted. If they see any technical errors, they're going to try and broom and throw it off the ballot, because it would be kind of dangerous, because green energy sounds attractive, but losing police and fire services would be dangerous.
There are elements of the city issue that look very similar to a state issue that kind of keeps coming up every year or so. An outside group comes into Ohio and starts to pass around a petition to raise money for an issue very similar to this. The argument's always been, well, you're losing local control, you're putting somebody else in charge of money that the state should be in charge of in the first place.
So is that constitutional? It just seems, now if you get people to vote for a new tax, you know, ticket tax for movie theaters tickets or sports events tickets, then that money has to go to a certain thing, then that's fine. But this is money out of the general fund. Just doesn't seem like that's the way the process should work. I mean, you elect city council members or state reps and state senators to decide how to spend our money.
Yeah, especially if there's no public oversight. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say it could provide a template for a lot of groups to, set up something like this, get people to vote for it, and then, have like a revenue stream just pouring into them.
But City Hall has to be careful on that argument, because on the ticket tax, they basically are taking those millions of dollars from movie theaters and other places and giving it to a private arts group then for them to divvy it up. So if you want to be consistent that the public body, City Council, should allocate the money, why didn't they do that on the art tax?
Again, I think it's interesting because we've seen this on the state level where state lawmakers have been against these ballot issues because they think that, well, people keep taking their issues to the ballot, kind of bypassing the legislative process. And I think that we're seeing this on the city level.
Interesting. All right. Our last topic, Ohioans learned for the first time this week the total cost of the latest version of the school funding plan, nearly $1.5 billion a year. State Reps John Patterson, a Democrat, and Bob Cupp, a Republican, revised their original plan. Their first version faced criticism for the amount of money it gave to affluent but fast-growing school districts. This plan is a little more balanced but faces the same criticism. Andy, is this the plan that is going to fix Ohio's school funding problem? Now, devil's in the details. The details are out now.
I mean, it just depends. I think when you drill down into this plan, there are things that a lot of school administrators like. There are a lot of things that they don't like. If you talk to, board members from urban districts, they say, well, they're still not completely happy because it doesn't take into account different variables that a student in the inner city has to go through compared to a student that a suburban or rural district has to go through. The thing here is the price tag. We're still not quite sure how much it will cost. The $1.5 billion came from the dispatch putting together all the numbers, so it's still not completely transparent what's going on here.
Well, and I think when you mentioned about details, there's this little thing. I remember Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie Jerry Maguire. He said, "Show me the money." Well, when you see $1.5 billion per year, that makes $3 billion.
Yeah. That
suddenly adds up to real money. And the state is doing well, but they're not doing that well to be able to afford that every 2 years.
This is a heavy lift, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that school funding fix is going to remain elusive for a while, particularly while the House and the Senate are at odds over approaches to even basic things like the operating budget.
So this isn't going to bring them together.
Not at this point. I mean, Speaker Householder has said this is a high priority for him, and he feels like he's focused on the BWC budget, the operating budget, the energy bill. He said once some of that stuff is settled, he'll dig into this.
There always seems to be some sort of consensus when somebody puts out a new school funding plan. For the first day, maybe there always seems to be, oh, this seems like the thing. But then each individual district comes out and says, I don't like this, I don't like that, and I think that's where
that's the problem. The spreadsheet comes out, Derek, and you see who winners and losers are. They see it. They call their state rep. They call their state senator, and it kills the deal.
Yeah,
Is there any other way to do this?
It's never going to be fair and balanced. As long as it's tied to property values in some way, form, or fashion, that there's always going to be winners and losers in this.
And a couple months ago, I talked to Bob Cupp, who's really a first-class mind and guy in terms of his background. And his view that he kind of gave me is this is kind of more of an aspirational goal. They don't expect to do it in 1 year. But if they can aim, and then as they aim for this to give more money to school districts that need it more, they've also got to address some tough issues because there's school districts in Ohio that are getting phantom money for students that don't exist because of enrollment shrinkage. So if it's a goal and they can work towards it, then it might have a potential.
But this would be phased in over 6 years, apparently. Does that help it? Make it a little easier pill to swallow, Laura?
Maybe. I mean, a $700 million pill instead of a $1.5 billion pill. But still, it's like I said, I think it's a heavy lift at this point, and they're just not on the same page.
All right, let's get to our final off the record. Parting shots, words of wisdom to leave us with this week. Derek Clay, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. So the groundbreaking for the Delphi Quarter building took place this week on the Near East Side in the King Lincoln District. This building, once complete, will be 130 apartment buildings, 9,000 square foot of space, and it's going to be a catalyst for change on the Near East Side.
Affordable housing, too, I hope?
Yes.
All right, Terry.
Mount Carmel was back in the news this week, and I think in Sunday's Dispatch there's going to be a lot more coverage of the systematic failures within their system. But Mount Carmel's far from being out of the woods, even with these firings. And I think it's now up to about a 50% chance that either Cleveland Clinic or Mercy out of Cincinnati comes in, takes over Mount Carmel because they need a brand change because this has hurt their image badly.
CEO and other, about 2 dozen
Their
other
top
folks,
medical, plus a lot of other staff people.
left this week. Andy.
If we do see a budget deal, I think we're going to see all eyes turn towards the energy bill, and I think that's just going to be another huge fight. And I don't know how it's going to end up, but I mean, the same personalities clashing is going to happen again.
Laura.
Ohio State, ODOT, Jobs Ohio opened they had a big ribbon cutting for a new $45 million autonomous vehicle testing center at the Transportation Research Center out in East Liberty. And I predict there will be more funding requests coming because they have a lot more ideas on what to do, including a year-round indoor testing facility with snow and ice.
Wow, interesting. Joyce Beatty has an opponent in 2020. On the left, a woman named Morgan Harper. Great resume, went to Tufts, Princeton, and Stanford. Very sharp, young. Reminds you a little bit of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So we'll see how she does. Doesn't have a lot of money, it seems like at this point, but Joyce Beatty will have some competition in 2020. We talked to her for our podcast Snollygoster this week, if you want to check that out. That is Columbus on the Record for this week. Check us out online, Twitter, Facebook, and you can see each episode on demand at our website, wosu.org. For our crew and for our panel, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.